down at Woodbridge. So first thing I do is I go over to the tax record and I put in the address. You put in the county. In this case, it's Prince William.
Is this from one of your appointments, Derek?
She canceled, or we had to reschedule. I've not gone yet, but yeah, it's one that I thought I'd use as an example. So I pulled the tax record. I, obviously print it out, put it in my file. One of the first things I do is I go down and I want to see how much square feet. Like this one, the base is 736. I look to see how many levels it is. Can you see? Is my pointer? Okay, so yeah, it's a one level. In the public records, we all know they're not always 100% accurate. This one says it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It says it's got a basement, an additional 704 square feet. The other thing I do on the tax record, this shows they bought it in August of 2015 for $262,500. Looking at the assessment, which is this year's assessment is $241,000. And then I'm going up here and I'm looking to see, here's the property history. And I usually just print this out so I have a copy in my file as well. So you can go in and actually look at the last one. This goes from the oldest to the most recent at the top. So you go in and take a look at it so you can get a picture of the property. Go in and take a look at the photos when they bought it 3 years ago. So you can, kind of get an idea of the style house you're looking for too. So back on the public record and even here in the MLS, I look to see what the legal subdivision is. In this city, it says Dale City Resub. So I know Dale City's going to produce a lot of, when I put that in, it's going to produce a lot of comps. So
Terry, on the tax record, can you go back to the tax record?
You probably sit back, maybe. Yeah.
Back down to the square footage that you were showing us.
uh-huh.
What is, can you explain, living area 736, base square feet 736, the difference between those two?
So that's the main level.
What's the main
Since it's a one level. I'm sorry.
Same floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is saying it's only a one level. They're not counting in the tax record. The living area is above grade, so it's never. You guys probably. I mean, I don't want to talk too elementary here, but they never include the basement.
And then so just the other thing too to be aware of, especially in our areas, is, and I think you mentioned it, is the basement too. So you can see. Can you highlight that basement type full on the square footage? So this is, sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. Like sometimes it might even have a basement and it's not reflected. So I'll also look at Google Street View to see if it looks like it has a basement or not. But so in this case, it's 704 square feet total, 528 is finished and 176 unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about the finished or unfinished, just the total square footage. So because the basement and the top floor are roughly the same, you know that it's basically like a rambler or a split foyer, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other place to look, if you scroll up just like an inch there, single family detached, and then if you scroll down like just a little tiny bit. Okay, yeah, that's good, thanks. And then so sometimes it'll also say like the property use, if it has a basement or not. Some, like depending on the area, it'll say, like residential with basement or residential no basement. That's the other place that I'll check along with the basement square footage and also Google Maps to see if it has a basement or not, because that's, and especially in a tiny house like this, that's huge. It's a huge difference in price. So yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure.
I have a question kind of going to that
Uh-huh.
thing. With split floors and split levels, it's like weird with basement.
Right.
How does that work? And like when it says daylight full, I'm never really sure. Like it will say daylight full instead of just having square footage.
Yeah, so like daylight full, you'd have to see what the property type looked like on Google Maps. Do you have any other opinion on the daylight full? I mean, I just look at what it looks like on Google Maps.
Yeah, yeah. pretty
Yeah,
much.
and then for like a split level, basically like the way that I think about it at least is like it's basically a box where half of the box is above the ground and half's below the ground, and then so it's a box, and then there's the floor in the middle, and right in the middle of the floor is another level that lays on the ground. So it's like a box, half above ground, half below, and then a little section of the house that lays on the ground. That's the split level. So it basically has a half basement.
I've also heard them called tri-level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try level, I've heard that.
Yeah, I'm not
It's not as much around here, but yeah, I've heard that. So that's a split level. Split foyer is basically like a rambler, where it's just a rectangle where the basement and the floor above it are the same square footage. But instead of a rambler where it's like one level's above grade and one is like fully below usually, a split level is where it's like the basement's usually half above grade, half below. And then you walk in like into essentially a split foyer. That's why it's called that, where it's you walk in right to a staircase. One staircase goes up, one goes down.
I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but just from what I've noticed, the full daylight I've normally noticed means it has full-size windows instead of like little basement windows. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, that could be. Yeah, and I'll always double check with Google Maps if I can, or that tip on the property history is good too, because then you can get a really good picture of it.
Yes, I mean, they'll usually always have the property history. Okay, so going back here, so I'm here at the main screen. So I'll go over to search. I go under residential, go under CMA. And then I pick the county. This automatically under status highlights everything but coming soon. Then I don't necessarily transaction type. You know, once in a while I'll do it, but not normally. The style, I don't usually highlight anything. Whoops. And then, so for this one, we know it's a detached. If I'm doing a townhouse, I'll do just so. Some people put them in there differently. If it's a detached, I'll have fee simple under ownership. But if it's a townhouse, I'll put not a detached. So I'll pull only, you know, everything but that, which will be a townhouse or row house, duplex, whatever. Especially in DC, they call them different things. So then over here, I want, you know, obviously want it for sale. The MLS, or at least in mine, and you guys tell me if yours is set up different because you can customize these. I have it set up for 6 months automatically.
I do 90 days.
Do you do 90?
But yeah,
Yeah, it depends on if I
Either
pull
way.
like a ton, I'll go back and tighten it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 6 months to me I think is a little outdated. And I'll do the opposite, like if I'm trying to look for something and I'm not getting mini comps, I'll go back 360 just to kind of see the history of it.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing if I have to. Yeah, I'll
Yeah, I
go
mean,
back
it
to
depends
yeah.
on, I'll do it different ways depending on the property and what's coming up.
Yeah.
Over here, if I tend to be more vague at first and then I may tighten it up. If I put a basement, all the agents don't always put that correctly, so you may omit some that you need. So I'll just leave that blank. So for this one, I always put the exact number of bedrooms. This one's a 3-bedroom. And I could verify that from the previous listing that they bought it from too. So you can go back, that's another way to kind of verify because sometimes the tax record's not always right. You can look at that under that property history, you can check the other ones. In this particular case, I'm gonna go in and I'll put their zip code. And I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot that come up. So down here, it says 126 came up. Obviously, way more than I need. So
How
this
about
is,
bathrooms too? Do you usually do that 2+ bathrooms?
yeah, like this one's a 3-2. But I don't know if it's a 3-3. I'll usually do a 2 because, again, I'll go back and tighten it if I need to. So one thing I want to do, obviously there's too many here, is I'm going to put a range for the, and I'm just going to go by the tax record. So this one was 704, I believe.
That was the basement. I think it was 720.
736 was the living space here above grade. So I'm gonna go in and put, I don't know, 650 to 800. I don't know if that's, okay, so that gave me 24.
You could also put yes for basement too, although like you said, you'd miss some. if
Yeah,
you're thinking-
and again, if, like on this one, there's a lot. Another way to go back in is, I'll go in and put the specific neighborhood. So I can go in and put, does everybody know the difference between advertised and the legal subdivision? So the advertised one may be, like in DC, a lot of the times, maybe somebody's in Eckington, but it's, the legal description is Old City 1 or something, you know. So if you can do it that way. So the legal one's always going to be what is in the tax record. Does everybody know where that is on the tax record? Actually, let me show you from up here. So if you go back to the tax record,
So you use the legal? Depends.
it depends. I mean, I'll search it and then
I usually
see
use
what comes up.
advertised subdivision.
But I would.
Yeah. But the problem, most of the time, I think either would work. But yeah, I don't use advertised.
So right up here right under the address here, it says legal subdivision, Dale City Resub. If there's a condo name, you can do it by the condo. You know, if it's Woodmont or whatever, that'll be right here. So in this one, I'll put Dale City. I'm not necessarily going to put, if I want to get anything with Dale City, you can put the asterisk. So maybe some put the resub, maybe some didn't.
And you can also put an asterisk before. So like if you're trying to find a property and it's not coming up like in a tax record, for example, like let's say the street's like North Mason, but you're not sure if it's like North is spelled out or if it's Mason North in the tax record or something weird, whatever, you can just do Mason and do an asterisk before and afterwards along with the street number. Then anything that has the street number and the word Mason in it will come up.
Now, I've still got 24, which is more than I really want to play with right now. So if I put okay, so now I got down to 13, so now I'm a little bit tighter where I want to be. So then, you can go down, obviously, and put a lot of different things. Sometimes if it's a townhome community or condo where they've got different, even in single family, well, they'll have different models. Maybe I'll pull just a specific model because usually those will have similar square footage. So I've got 1 active, 2 under contract. I don't necessarily put so much emphasis on the withdrawn. Usually those were overpriced and sometimes they'll be put back on. So if I look down here, interesting enough, none of these went back on the market. But if I want to get rid of them, I'll just, take them out. So you just highlight them, you hit refine, drop. So now I'm down to 9. There's one that's in here and they're specific where it says the resub that's a bi-level. Theirs is coming up in the tax record, I believe is a split. Just a single family detached.
Meaning split for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Split level.
Bi-level in my experience generally means basically the same thing. I don't even know the difference actually. I just
Yeah, on
say
the
same.
bi-level.
So when you said tri-level, I was like, well, I've only ever heard bi-level.
I've never
But
heard
that's
tri-level.
exactly-
Years
Yeah.
ago I did, when I was doing this kind of stuff before, like in 05.
Yeah. So the bi-levels those are probably the least popular style of house, where it's like you walk in and
And it just
it's-
goes like this.
Yeah, it's like maybe all your living's on one level and then you go and it's all separate. So, but it's all like you've got the longer steps. It's not like on split where you've got shorter
Okay.
steps throughout.
So
Like,
bi-level is like a typical like.
it's like a Rambler except it's above grade.
Yeah, so
So
that's
it's
like,
like all
ours,
within-
like our kitchen, dining room, living room, and office is on the main floor, and then the whole upstairs is all bedrooms.
Yeah.
With like a full 12 stairs.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. So over here, I can go in and see here these are all very close. Wow. So they're all in the 700s for the tax record. The other thing I do is I went over here and I'll Google it just to make sure. I mean, this one on the public record had the picture because it had been listed before, but
And then there's a couple other things I'll point out too on the MLS too. If you can go back there just on like how to format it. So like one thing you can do, for example, Tara, if you hit like the status,
yeah, you can, whoops.
you can sort it by the status by clicking any of those headers. So what I'll do is I'll sort it by status first. So it's active, under contract, and sold all together.
Yeah, see, I have mine set up for status.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can, if you hit it one more time, it'll go the opposite way.
Yep.
And then after I do that, then I'll also sort it by the list price. So then I'll hit the list price next. So basically it'll go active, under contract, sold, low to high in each category. If you hit, the list price one. And then I think you have to hit the status again or something.
Yeah, so here, this is high to low.
Yeah, well, if you hit the list price again and then hit status again, and that usually I think is what does it. Right, so there you go. Right, so it's now active, under contract, sold, and then you see sold is 220 to 299, low to high. So I like to do that way I can see a little more easily sort of what's going on. You can also adjust the size of the rows. Could you show that too, Terry, just so that? Right, so I'll put everything super close together, so on one screen I'll see all the information that I need. Because you don't need to see, for example, like the active, under contract, sold, you just need ACS basically, so I'll make it super small, that way I can see everything without having to scroll back and forth. And then if you want to save this, it should be in that little, like, I think it's that little...
Right here.
The gear icon.
Yeah, so you have to highlight everything, and then you can go over here to save.
Yeah, I'm saying though the view though itself.
Oh.
So I think that's the, in the top right, sort of, the little gear icon.
This one?
Yeah. And then you can set that current display, sort order, and so on as your default. So then next time you go in, it'll have the same width, it'll have the same way it goes, it'll have the same everything. So that's what I typically will do. So I have it, active, by price, everything super tight, so you can see everything, and then I'll save it.
So it'll always pop up like this.
Exactly.
Search
So I'll
engine.
like that. Yeah.
That's okay.
And then when you're doing your searches, you can set your same default. So like my default would be active, under contract, sold in the last 90 days. And that's basically it. And then I'll just do it by subdivision. And so then you can set that as your default too. So every time you go to search, the same thing comes up.
And like this one here, I'll also look at the prices. Like this low one, I sometimes I'll go in if I know that's not necessarily a good comp. Like this one, there's no pictures. I look at it. It may have been put in for comp purposes only or something. I mean, there's just no information here.
Yeah, if you go to the remarks, that's another place I'll check when I see one like this to see. So this is freshly painted, hardwood floors on main level. So I would interpret this to mean basically that it's in decent condition, but probably outdated, is how I would interpret that. Because no pictures. Now, if it said like REO, or if it said won't qualify for financing or something, then it's probably in rougher condition. So we'll take a quick look at the remarks.
So I would just maybe get rid of that one. And then, okay, so let's say I'm happy with the results. I'll also look at lot square footage to see if it's kind of similar again to the property. If you've got something that's got 2 acres versus a 1/4 of an acre, you've got to adjust for that. So then I go over, if I want to print it out, this comes up where you can do it in PDF. I always like, or at least for my file, what I'm doing is I'm printing the gallery agent, which you guys know what that looks like. And then I'm printing the analysis. So this is actually what I'll go over when I'm meeting with them, so they can see just the numbers, and then you can compare that to the gallery where it's got the more, the picture, the more information. And then I usually take my laptop or iPad or something, and we'll go in. how does your property compare to this specific property at this price and the condition and everything. And then if you want to print it out or email it, you just, it looks like that. I'll go in before I go usually and highlight certain things that I want to talk about, how that property is similar to the one on the appointment. If you want to email it to yourself or whoever. If you guys want to customize it, I don't know. I mean, if you you're sending it to somebody, you know where you can go in and that's more of a. You can go in and put your picture and company information and all that. So if you want to try to bring it a little bit more.
And the MRIS customer support too. If you guys forget this stuff, they're really helpful. So you just call them and they'll be able to show you how to do a lot of the stuff as well. If you
I
forget.
was talking to Kevin. They'll actually come in and do a free training. If you guys want me to call and get that set up, he thought it was a good idea. They'll come in and whatever their schedule is, and they'll give us a bunch of things that we can select 2 or 3 that we want to talk about. But they'll go around for free and go to the offices and do that. Any questions?
Do you want to show them how to do a map?
Oh
search there?
yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry. Okay,
And this
so
is particularly for DC because you can't do a subdivision in DC. It'll be like
it's
hundreds
crazy.
of properties.
Yeah.
So it has to be a map, and then also in DC, and I have a comp training too along with this that I'll send you guys that I did a while ago. In DC, I generally want to do a tight radius, no more than a quarter mile, geographic radius. In all other areas, I'll do generally a half mile. In a very rural area, I'll generally do a mile.
So I'll do a DC here. So we'll do, let's do a row house. We'll do 4 bedroom. 1, 2, 3. So I put in my criteria. I've got 50 searches. 50 properties. So then I'll go over here to the map up here. And if there's a specific property, I would have looked at the map to see about where it's at. Do you know a way you can put a specific address in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll just do, so go back, and then go to jump to address, under the map button on the top right.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then why don't you just do 1832 8th Street Northwest. It's a different area, but and just put DC after it, just DC. Usually it's pretty good. Oh, you want to hit enter though, so go back to map. And then you want to hit enter in that little bar. So get rid of the thing after the 8, so it's just like.
Okay, the asterisk.
Yeah, and then do just TH, 8th. Yeah, and see if that works, then if not, add Northwest after it. Or,
It says no closing.
Oh, that's because you have it,
I've
you have the
got,
zip code.
yeah,
So you have to remove the zip code. And enter. Try 8th Street Northwest DC. Okay, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
So then you can use that little, use the different functions there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I usually do the radius.
that's what I do too.
Yeah, so I literally put it on the property, and then you're going to drag it out. Why is it saying delete marker? Okay. So, yeah, as John was saying, so here's how far did you say you go? A quarter?
I do a quarter mile because DC is so, area by area that even a quarter mile can be a lot. But that would work as well.
Yeah,
And then you can
let's
just hit results if you want to see what comes up.
There you go, you got 13. Here's one. What, do you usually keep the expired or withdrawn, or do you?
No, I usually just do active under contract and sold, just as my default when I search. And usually what I'll do is, like scan through, look at like beds, baths, square footage, at a high level if that's a basement compared to my subject property. And then I'll look at the property condition field, and I'll see if it was like, I don't think you have
I
any
don't-
display.
Yeah, I
But like
can.
I have that and it says like if it's remodeled or it's
Right.
as is or whatever. And so we're comparing generally in our sales to like the as is sales, not the remodel ones, which are going to sell for a lot higher.
Yeah.
It's important to use that ones that are in like as is condition. And so that's kind of how I'll do it.
Yeah, and then like a couple of these are out. You can see that the other ones are pretty close. Well, between 619 and
Yeah, and the neighborhood matters a lot too in DC too. Like you'll see
Yeah,
that
see.
like this property, the 1832 is in Shaw. So the ones in Logan Circle, that's a much more desirable neighborhood
yeah.
than Shaw is. Shaw's decent. Like Shaw's probably better than Old City. It's probably not as good as U Street. So like that kind of stuff matters too in DC. So DC's definitely has the most going on. You have to kind of be aware of.
Do you guys know how to print out if you're going to be showing a lot of properties where you can see the properties and then it'll map it out? No? So, if like I just selected 2, and it'll actually give you directions like from here. Like if you can change this around if you want this one first or whatever. But then so it'll actually give you directions and map it out for you. So if you want to print the directions, like if you've got a lot of property, especially out, and it'll tell you how to go. Any other questions?
Well, maybe this might be another training, but I'm interested in the conversations that you have with the prospect after you have your comp and going over them with them and explaining how, especially comparing the subject property with the comps, what carries more weight. And I don't know if that depends on area. I mean, those are the unknowns for me. So maybe that's another training conversation afterwards.
Well, that's kind of like what the Zillow thing
Yeah,
is.
that's exactly right. Yeah, so I'm gonna figure out what's going on with the volume. If anybody ever finds that there's a video that isn't working properly, just let me know right away so I can figure it out or replace it or whatever. But I can just go over some of the content from that video quickly. And I know that it's not going to be a substitute for the video because you're not really going to be able to see what I'm doing here. But I think, I guess in my experience...
Or should we have Terry play the video?
I was gonna
and
say,
can
you want me
just
to pull it up here?
quickly- Yeah, right. Or have it
Sure,
run along.
yeah, that's good. That's perfect.
And are you guys clear on pulling comps and stuff? I have this was recorded, and then I have another video training too that goes into even like more detail if you want on it. So we'll send that out afterwards.
And I think the things that you were saying about like this area is more desirable than that area, I mean, you only know that with experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way you're gonna know that coming out of the gates.
And if you're going on one you don't know, I mean, you can
Yeah, just don't worry about
John
it.
or-
Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin, would you send out the email?
Sunday.
Is it the listing commission?
No. Just go to,
Pulling in using comps.
What's the title?
Try typing it in.
Pulling a
That's
listing.
Zillow.
Is
It's
this
got
it?
Zillow in that.
Has it got Zillow?
yeah.
It have Zillow in it?
That's it, yeah.
That's it.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had it up there. Yeah.
Is that it?
permission. Just trying to get around that.
Try again.
Right. This one?
Yep. There you go. All right, so if you just blow it up, right hand corner. Yep. Good. So this is a property that Tara will recognize.
Yep,
Uh,
my first one.
First one. So Tara went to this meeting and can you pause it for 1 second, Tara? So Tara did a first meeting with these folks, and then we did a second meeting together. Their house is
Is this it?
it has a Z estimate of 412, and they in the first meeting told Tara that they thought 410 might be low for like a listing price for their house. It's not. It's fine, but it's outdated, and it's outdated, and it's sort of decorated a little bit oddly. And so that was, we knew that was going to be too high. And so in the second meeting, we walked through comps using Zillow. I don't think it's not really any different than just doing it with the MLS comps, but I do think doing it with Zillow or HomeSnap makes it easier for the person who you're showing it to follow along. And you can show them on the map. You show, here's your house, and they can see what's around them, and then you can click on houses that have sold, and then the picture will come up right away. Hey, this house? Oh yeah, it's across the street. And then you can very quickly scroll through the pictures. You can hand them the tablet, and they can scroll through the pictures. So I think it's pretty quick, and it makes it I think pretty easy for somebody to make your point to somebody, more so than showing them like a tax record that has lots and lots of information that you're not really going to be talking about. And using the map feature is nice, because if you kind of get them going, they'll look and they'll start interacting with it more. Oh, this house, that house sold, etc. And so what I'll do, you can play it now, Derek, is so we looked at these two houses across the street. The one that sold for $423, one sold for $376, and basically I sat in between husband and wife on the couch, and we flipped through the pictures for both, and they certainly know those houses because they're across the street. They remember them being on sale. They had a big idea of what they sold for, but this was a good reminder of the price. The 423, and this was like a particularly easy one to do because the 423 was not newly renovated, but it was upgraded. It was nice, and there was really no disputing that house was, going to be would sell more than their house. So then that kind of helped temper their expectations, and we showed them the 376, which was a lot more like their house. And they were like, oh well, the floor, they have a parquet floor. We don't have that, so ours is better. Okay. But it helps. But they did, and there's no way, unless you're dealing with somebody who's just totally unreasonable, which will happen, for somebody to think that their house is, for this house to be similar to the 423 one, because it was just updated versus their house, which was not. And so then we got them down into 300s, got them sort of thinking about price more realistically. And it makes a big difference. See, that's the 376 house, the Parquet floor, and this is very similar, like probably slightly worse condition than their house, but not dissimilar. And this way, you don't really have to make it. You don't have to tell them what their house is worth. It's not coming from you, right? Like, I think your house is worth this. Well, I think it's worth more than that. You know, you don't have to. You just show them the pictures, and then for most people, that's just going to be enough. You know, people are going to be like, oh, okay, this is a totally redone kitchen, and it's bigger. They'll be like, that's all for what? Oh, okay. So you just let the pictures kind of do the work for you. And I just showed them those two comps. You could show them more if you needed to. But I think it's a quick and easy way to help calibrate their expectations. More importantly, it's very accessible for the seller. They can see the map, they can see the pictures, it's interactive. You can hand them the tablet, they can scroll through the pictures, and you can blow the pictures up if you double click on it, and they can just scroll through all the pictures. People like doing that anyway, so they like to see pictures of other houses. So sometimes it's a good way to just spend time with them. They'll continue to build rapport. You look at 4 or 5 houses, all of a sudden you've been doing it for 25 minutes, and that's good. It's rapport building. You're helping calibrate their price, and you're just spending more time with them. So it's I think it's a good way to do it, a good tool to do it. You can do the same thing with HomeSnap. It's almost identical. And then, hopefully by the time you're done with it, you're getting them sort of in a reasonable frame of mind in terms of price. You build more rapport and demonstrate some expertise by saying, hey, I looked at these 4 comps beforehand. I just want to show them to you to see what you think, right? So, you show them the comps and then just ask them. So this is 423, this is 376, or whatever it may be. So what do you think about that house? It's pretty nice, right? That's probably kind of on the top end, right? That's probably would be a little sell for a bit more than this house, right? Just ask them questions. You can ask them open-ended questions. The way to think about, these houses. Where do you think your house would fit? In here, in this range. But if they're at all reasonable, they're going to come to that conclusion on their own. If they're looking at a house that's brand new, it's bigger, it should be pretty easy. But I think it just makes it interactive, helps build rapport, and makes it easy to kind of make your point.
I have a question about the prep ahead of time for this. What parameters did you put in? Of course, bedrooms, bathrooms, something like that. But what about like a date range for when the...
So on Zillow, you can just look at the neighborhood, everything that's sold. Everything that's sold. You can add parameters, but here I'll just click and look through because you can quickly see how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, square feet, and just try and find 4 or 5. And then rather than putting a filter in and searching by parameters, I'll just kind of poke around until I find one.
Not even a date range, because something
there's a
that
date
sold
range.
in
There's a date range.
2014 isn't really.
Yeah, that's the only thing I have in there. That houses that have sold or for sale, and then in the last year.
Okay.
Last year. Okay.
Last year.
So sold or for sale in last year. All right.
Okay.
To give you an idea, Tara?
Yeah.
Sometimes, and then with the if you're doing it on a tablet, you can draw on the map, and for some people that's technology they haven't experienced before, and so they really like that. So another way to sort of get them engaged.
To wow them.
It's sort of like they're stunned. It's like they've never seen anything like it before. It's always good. So why don't you circle your house? And any questions, comments, anything else on that? No? Role play?
Yeah, let me do 15 minutes of role play.
Okay. So we're gonna be. So I guess Victoria is safe.
Victoria's safe.
Okay, this week. So we have. I trust that everybody's memorized the script thing. This is probably not even necessary.
Right.
But I'm gonna play seller, and somebody will start, and then you're gonna tell me about the particular thing. I'll tell you the right price and whatever it is. I'll ask you some questions, and then we'll do that for a few minutes. I'm just gonna go to another person and ask, so you'll know who's gonna be next. So that way it's gonna be very exciting for Tara. Who wants to start?
And so you want them to pick like one of the blurb, two options, or the
I'm
price.
gonna pick a fourth.
You're gonna pick it. Okay.
Yeah. So
And then no cheating, right, Tara?
there's absolutely, positively no. Where is that box? Tara.
I don't even have.
Put the binder away, Tara.
Okay. We've seen this before. Berta, you look like you're poised for. I think I saw Josh volunteer.
Yeah, I'll go.
Excellent. So why don't you talk to me about the importance of pricing?
Okay. So my thoughts on your house is it's going to range anywhere from 390 to 405. That's the range I would give it on the market as is today. When we go to price a house, it's one of the most important characteristics in selling the house. I can't really overemphasize that enough. When my partner and I, my boss and I, John started this company back in 2010. What he did was bought houses in pretty rough shape and fixed them up and flipped them. So every time he did that, he went through the process of figuring out what the pricing should be. So when a house goes to be listed, it goes into the MLS, which is a website that all realtors have access to. And kind of one of the worst case scenarios would be for a house to be overpriced and ends up sitting on the market because of the reason that people see that it's sitting for 40 to 50 days and they're not really compelled to bring the best offer to them.
Yeah, but I have a question.
Yes.
Because if I price it lower, then it's worth it. I mean, I get as much money.
If you price it lower?
Yeah.
Well, so part of the process that we go through in pricing it exactly at the right price is to create as much interest as possible. What we do is we will hold one open house. Everybody comes with their agents. They see everybody's there. They see that the house is priced correctly. And then what happens is they're compelled to bring the best offer, which will then force their hand to possibly create a bidding war, which will get you even more money rather than pricing it low.
Yeah. One thing is like I would, and it's a little bit hard, obviously harder for you guys than it is for Kevin to make it clear that you're speaking from our experience in buying and renovating and selling houses. Even like what you stumbled on, which is right, like my boss and I, John, or whatever. Like, so I would just kind of maybe say more like when we're selling our renovated houses, is maybe an easier way to do it. And just make it more clear that like when you're sharing all that stuff, that it's coming from what we've found to be important over the last 10 years that we've been selling houses. So kind of just make it clear where that's coming from the perspective of our experience.
Okay.
And so, as we talked about, the more conversational, the better. And the more conversation, you'll be able to be more conversational, the better you know them, right? So, like I might be able to get a higher price. Like I'm concerned that if I price it too low, right? You went to the right thing. That's the right piece of the script, right? Like the one over the house. But give them some context before you explain that. You're like, that's a fair concern, right? And we want to make sure that we can get you the most money. Now, what's some of the scripting that John has talked about before that makes, for us investors, getting the most money is important because like that extra $5,000 or $10,000 is important because why?
like, but I thought this was from the perspective of the
It is.
Yeah.
So this is, but you're talking about it from the vantage point that as investors, we have a lot of experience in
Mhm.
selling houses. This is how we do it.
Right.
And it's very important for us to get the highest possible price.
Right.
And we do that by pricing it right.
Mhm.
Okay, so the reason that it's important for us, if we sell 50 houses in a year, and if we make $5,000 more on each house, that's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Remember that scripting
Right.
that John talked about? Okay.
Rather than what most agents would do.
Right,
It's
just
just
put it,
that-
exactly, it's a nominal difference from an agent's perspective, but it's a big difference for an investor, and that's why we spend so much time on price. But you talk about, yeah, that's everybody's knee-jerk reaction that, oh, if I price it lower, I'm gonna get less money. But, really emphasize, if you price it too high, it's gonna sit, right? You low ball offers, because nobody thinks it's gonna sell. You price it right, that's how you get the bidding war, right? Because people know it's going to sell, it's going to force their hand. So it's when people are asking you questions or you're presenting a concept, try and start, give it at a high level. Be like, answer the question, yeah, that makes sense. But the reason is because if you do the opposite, it'll be worse. That's a little counterintuitive, maybe,
Mhm.
right? But that's the right thing to be going to, like on the scripting.
So maybe address their question a little bit more.
Yeah, you want to address their
Yeah.
question immediately,
Right.
and then explain your answer.
Okay.
So, do you have anything else on that?
I don't think so. I mean, it's hard to remember to come from that perspective. Just to reiterate again, it's like, we're trying to come from our experience. You have to kind of like imagine that you've been doing this sort of with us
Right.
since 2010, and you've been involved in selling 190 houses. You haven't.
Right.
So you have to sort of imagine what that would be like to do that, and then come with that sense of like authority
Yeah.
that you would have if you did that, when you're giving your advice.
Yeah, like
you know
a
what I
weak
mean?
perspective.
What's that?
Like
Oh,
a
weak
weak-
perspective, yeah. So you almost have to kind of act it and imagine as if, sort of, as you're saying it. I think that'll help it resonate a little more. That like, wow, these guys really know their shit. And they're giving me this really good advice.
And you can also say it with confidence, knowing that what you're telling them is correct. It's good advice. You can be confident in not giving it, right? So what if Andrew, what if I, continue this conversation? Okay, well all right, I'm with you. How do you figure out what the right price is?
So what we would do is we would do a coming soon, and we would post it on Zillow, and it won't be listed, but we'll price it just right, and so from that, we'll know if it will do well.
What's a
So
coming soon?
a coming soon is just an advertisement where we post a listing as to kind of get the momentum going. Then from that, we'll see that if there's 100 saves or likes that we'll know that it's priced right. Let's say if it's like a 50 likes, then the price isn't quite right yet. And so from there, we can really tell if it's the right price.
So you want to be a little more general, right? You kind of went right in like clicks, right? Somebody who doesn't really know what Zillow coming soon is going to be like, clicks.
Okay.
So like if they say, how do you do it? Well, start more general, right?
Okay.
Try again, like you've heard of the website Zillow, right?
Okay.
Let me give it another shot.
Okay. So you from the website Zillow, right?
Yes.
So what we do with Zillow is we post a home and we try to find the right price. And so with that, our buyers will see the posting, and we try to gauge at least for like a 100 likes and saves. And so with that, we know that that we price the home just right. Now, if we get about maybe like 50, then we may need to re-evaluate the price, as it most likely won't. We do well when we list it, to the live market.
So much better start there. One of the key things though is that what's the whole point of doing the coming soon versus just putting it on the MLS?
Is to, I guess, determine that the pricing is right and to see if we need to go back to the, to the upending stage on how we, would like to advertise the home,
But why is that better? Because if it's on Zillow coming soon and not the MLS,
it's not recorded. So like,
Yeah.
let's say if we were to change the price of the home, nobody sees it.
right now that's the key thing, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's not being tracked on the MLS.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit more consequence free.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. And then when you talk about the clicks, tell me, so you're saying, what does that mean? The number saves, you're trying to save?
So there's a feature on Zillow where home buyers can.
You can see it. You want to be the person.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's a feature where we can see on how many home buyers have saved the home and like the home from their daily searches. And so with that tool, we can determine that we price the home just right.
How do you determine that?
Just about the interest that we get. I get a daily roster of how our home is doing on the We're Coming Soon, and they send us.
What does the roster say? It's doing good?
So what the roster would say is, a number of views, a number of saves, and a number of likes.
And how do you figure out if it's doing good?
We would determine that by a number of likes. So say if generally in the past, homes that have done well
There you go.
have had, say, maybe like a 100 likes. Homes that have done well, maybe in the range, maybe like 25 to 50 likes.
Good, that's the point you want to make. Like in our experience,
Okay, no, okay.
we can see the number of people that click on it,
Mm-hmm.
and we've learned over the years, based on those numbers, kind of whether it's priced right or not.
Exactly.
So you're sort of saying, oh, this is something that we figured out over years of trial and error.
Okay.
And this is experience we have, and that way, that's why we always do it, so we can get a good sense of whether we're priced right or if we need to adjust before there's any major consequences. Right? Good.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a hard mental thing, I think, to get over a little bit. It's a little bit different, right? It's not like we're giving them advice in the hopes that they're going to want to list the house with us, which is more like where it's, kind of the natural,
like
thing.
Sales,
Like you're kind of, here's our advice, and, if you do that, here are all the benefits that you're going to get from it. Like you just have to kind of switch your mindset to that. You're basing everything off of like our experience on the investment side and what we're finding when we're selling our houses, and so we're sharing that with you so that no matter what you do with the house, whether whether we end up buying it for cash or whether you sell it with an agent, that you're like as informed as possible, and you do the best thing you can to get the most money ultimately for your house and sell it the best you can.
Okay. So say for the instance, I guess the guy that I had, Willie, how would you break that? Because it was very tough to kind of break it into more of a, hey, so have you ever considered about listing? Because he was just so much on the defense of that, like I know what you're about to do, so like how would you, for somebody who's just that.
So it sounds like he was very abrasive, and a difficult prospect. Somebody like that, I think, you're really going to have to spend a lot of time building rapport. So
multiple visits do.
Well, you
maybe
can just talk to them.
outreaches.
Get them talking about the house. Be like, so, why do you think 350 or what? Just get them talking more about the house. So some of the other houses in the neighborhood are selling for around this price. Like, just try and get them talking, and then instead of saying you're going to talk about listing, you probably never want to, say that. Right? Just be like, interesting. Well, as you know, you always have a few options. Remember, you give them the two options scripting. You can sell to an investor. You can do it it on the market, right? Have you talked to any other investors? Have you gotten any offers? You know,
And then let's say he says, because he told you about like 4, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I've got talked to 4 other investors. I got 4 offers. So what's your, what's your offer or whatever? Is that the kind of stuff you're saying?
Yeah.
Like how would he
and,
reply to that? Would he say, I have 4 other offers? Like, so what would he be saying? I have 4 other offers.
offers, and he was just like, yeah, I have 4 offers, but they're not where I want. I said, okay, pretty simple.
Okay, I have 4 other offers, but not where I want.
and what would you say?
And I said, okay. And like he had said, well, what's your offer? And I said, we gave it like 230 to like 250.
And then he was like, get out, where's Phil?
Yeah.
Okay, right, yeah. So we don't want to ever respond to that, directly,
Okay.
basically. So
If he has other offers, what are they? Maybe he'll tell you, maybe he won't.
Yeah.
You didn't like them, or where did you want to be? You want to be at 350? What's the least you take? Try and get him to tell you more about those offers.
Yeah.
So, what investors?
Yeah.
Were they written offers? Just ask them questions about the offers.
yeah, just start asking questions.
And then you can say, like at this point, like this guy is difficult. You haven't probably built a ton of rapport yet. If you give him a price, he's not going to like it. Right?
Yeah.
So you can't give him a price.
You just gotta say, look, we have to talk to our contractor team. There's a little more work involved than what I think. So, I'd have to come back and give you the exact number on it.
Okay.
But so the offers you do have, though, what was it you didn't like about them, or something? Just come back with some sort of brush it off,
Okay.
and then come back with with questions, and because you just need to build more rapport.
Okay.
At that point, we don't want to. We need to control the conversation in such a way that it benefits us,
Yeah.
not just give people answers when they ask us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
gotcha.
it's a learned thing.
So like if you're still walking through the house, be like, sometimes people will be like, okay, what's your offer? Be like, well, good. Finish walking through the house.
Right.
Honestly, he kind of like stopped me at the front door and was like, no, just like say it right here. I was okay. So like he.
So he stopped at the front door and he said, "What's your offer?"
No, he didn't want to let me in. Like kind of wanted just to kind of like undo the business, like.
Yes. So at that point, I would also say, I can't give you an offer.
Yeah.
I'm here to give you an offer. If you'd like me to do that, I'm gonna have to see the house and walk through it and take a look at it. Would you like me to walk through the house and make you an offer, or not?
Yeah.
Most people are gonna.
That's unusual.
Yeah.
He's a hard ass.
If you say that, we'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make it like I can't just be like, we can't give you an offer unless we've seen the house. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah. I mean, if we do go, if we do get, if we do go down out there, I was like,
Yeah.
scary.
Sounds
Really?
like a nice
Why
guy.
am I here?
like-
You don't want to waste your time.
Yeah, it was just,
Be like,
There's always going to be somebody who's just totally unrealistic.
Yeah, so like maybe between now and next week, like you guys can try to think of a difficult appointment like that. I mean, that was particularly difficult, right? And like the first step is just like we got to get in the door and start get them talking. Like that's before we give them an offer or do anything. It's like we got to find a way to get inside and get them talking and opening up a little bit.
Yeah.
Not be so defensive because when he's in that state, it's pointless to even have a conversation. I'd walk out before I give him an offer.
Did you ever go in?
I got in through like the foyer. And
That's as
then-
far as you got.
But what I did see, it was disgusting. But it was just bad. It was just really bad.
So really, based on the foyer, what an offer would be.
Am I offering just on the foyer or the whole house?
Yeah, like it was just very. It was like
Ask him if the other offers got to look at the house.
It was really,
Yeah, really.
It was awful.
Did you let him in past you?
Yeah.
It was just very bad.
But so if you guys could think between, like either of appointments you've already had or between now and the next training, a difficult appointment like that, or something the seller said you know how to respond to, if you could bring that, then we can role play that for the next one.
On that, so like, some people, and this guy might have been one of them that would have done this, like, if you say, I gotta see the house, and you walk through, is it okay if I take pictures, whatever? If they keep being like, what's the offer, what do you think, what's your offer, be like, you can tell them that I'm taking pictures, there's a couple things that concern me that I need to talk to Lloyd about.
Yeah.
My boss about.
Yeah, Lloyd.
Okay,
Lloyd.
I'm interested in the house, but I still have to talk to Lloyd, and that's why I'm taking pictures. Lloyd has tremendous expertise on these houses.
He specializes in this area of DC,
You
actually.
probably do you know Lloyd? No. So and then then you basically told them, I'm not gonna give you an offer, but right now, but I will later.
Yeah.
And then,
Okay.
so they'll kind of be like, back off a little, and then you can ask them.
Yeah, like,
So you already got some other